الذين آمنوا وتطمئن قلوبهم بذكر الله.
What if one man traveled farther than Marco Polo without planes, GPS, or modern maps? His name is Ibn Battuta, and he redrew the idea of distance by walking it. Tangier, 1304, a port where Atlantic swells met gossip from caravans, Cairo's minarets, Damascus gardens, Mecca's Kaaba. Ibn Battuta studied law, but the road tugged harder. At 21, he packed ink, faith, and hunger to measure the world with his footsteps. Across the 14th century map, a single language and faith stitched ports and oases, the Dar al-Islam. Judges, sailors, merchants, one conversation from Granada to Guangzhou. If a pilgrim carried learning, doors might open. If he faltered, deserts would close. He rode east with the Hajj caravan, skirting the red grit Atlas and dust-swept plains. Fever struck near Bougie. He refused to turn back. He tells us he married on the trail, then walked on. The world would test a pilgrim's vows before it granted him roads. Cairo rose like a forest of minarets. He listened to jurists at Al-Azhar, drifted along the Nile's calm muscle, and learned the politics of river and empire. The city taught him a traveler's rule: move with the current, never against the men who command it. He threaded Sinai to Jerusalem and Damascus, joining a river of pilgrims. In orchards and caravanserais, he bartered stories for directions. The final stretch to Mecca would be guarded, thirsty and holy. One mistake could cost water, or worse, protection. Mecca's walls shone in heat shimmer, circumambulating the Kaaba in a sea of white. He felt the world contract to a single orbit. Yet as the rites ended, the horizon yawned open again. The pilgrim became a seeker, the Hajj his beginning, not his end. Baghdad's ruins and scholars, Persia's caravan cities, the blue mosques of Tabriz. Floods and bandits stalked the roads. In night caravans, he hid his ink under his cloak, guarding the only cargo that grew heavier when shared: memory. South to Aden, where incense smoke braided with salt wind, he learned the monsoon's clock. Sail at the right moon, and the ocean carries you. Miss it, and it drowns you. He chose the season, and a dhow, pointed downwind toward the Swahili coast. Kilwa's coral palaces gleamed over turquoise water, gold from hinterlands, Chinese porcelains in market shade, Swahili poetry threading tongues. He learned that oceans are streets wider than deserts, if you trust crews, currents, and a sail the size of a house. North again, over Anatolian plateaus, he tasted the hospitality of Sufi lodges and market towns. Snow stitched the horizon. Warriors shared bread, and poets traded riddles. Every threshold taught him a code. Every host extended the road by a night. He reached the Golden Horde's camps along the Volga, where yurts ringed the steppe like moons. Horses were the currency, distance their pasture. Court singers praised khans by firelight as frozen breath hung like flags. He learned to bow from the saddle. Escorted with a princess's retinue, he crossed to Constantinople, where domes rose like anchored moons. Greek, Turkic, Arabic, languages braided the streets. Before Andronikos III, he saw diplomacy stitched in silk, gold, and uneasy smiles. Through Khurasan and the Khyber's stone teeth, he pressed toward the rumor of Delhi's wealth. Snow-bit faces, cliff paths unraveled into sky. He wrote of avalanches and prayers, and a writer's pact with fear. Keep moving or be buried with it. Delhi thundered with elephants and edicts. Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq's court dazzled and frightened. Rewards arrived like monsoons, punishments like lightning. Appointed a judge, Ibn Battuta balanced law and survival, weighing each word like gold. Court life was a chessboard with missing squares. Enemies smiled, messages vanished. He married, judged cases, and watched heads roll. When the Sultan named him ambassador to China, fear felt like mercy. A mission might be an exit in disguise. He sailed from Cambay toward Calicut and straight into a storm's mouth. One royal ship foundered, another tore free with the treasure. He watched gifts to the yuan vanish in foam, then crawled ashore with nothing but a name and the will to keep moving. Marooned, he turned judge in the Maldives, then collided with island custom. He enforced fasts, they loved music. He railed at scanty dress, they laughed, then plotted. Weddings, divorces, edicts, his rulings made waves in lagoons and palaces alike.
He chased relics to Sri Lanka's sacred peak, climbing into cloud where the footprint waits. Monsoon sheets erased the trail. Bandits prowled the wet green. He touched a world older than maps, then hurried back down before rain wrote his epitaph. Delta fog gave way to Bengal's clamorous ports, then Sumatra's pepper towns. In Samudra Pasai, he watched the Indian Ocean turn into a parliament. Malay captains, Persian traders, Chinese junks creaking at anchor, each tide a fresh debate. China rose from the sea in white porcelain and paper money. He writes of Quanzhou's quays and Hangzhou's silk canals, where night markets burned like constellations. Here, bureaucracy was an ocean, fathoms deep, rule-bound, and astonishingly efficient. He looped back to Mecca as a changed man, and found the world changed worse. Plague rumor galloped faster than caravans. Ports whispered of black sores and empty cradles. Travel's gift cut both ways. Roads carried wonder and the wind of death. Home tugged west, but curiosity pulled south. He turned toward the Sahara, a sea without gulls. From Sijilmasa, the caravan entered a grammar of thirst. Lines of camels, commas of wells, and only one sentence to read correctly: survive the crossing. These erased themselves. Salt slabs at Tagaza tasted of blood and brine. Night brought cold so clean it rang. He learned the camel's stubborn prayer: step, chew, endure. Somewhere ahead, a river cut the desert and made cities of sound. Gao's river opened like a book. Canoes slid under papyrus. Blacksmiths hammered rhythm. Traders measured gold by the seed. At Mansa Suleiman's court, he met empire tuned to a river's pulse, kingly grace and strict protocol bound in kora string music. He heard of Timbuktu, but turned toward the Mali heartland instead, counting cowries and customs, watching griots bind history to melody. The desert had spoken in silence. The Sahel answered with drum and river. West Africa wrote itself into his Rihla. At last, Fez. After 29 years, he set down his pack and took up a memory heavier than spice. Sultan Abu Inan ordered a book. Ibn Juzai sharpened his reed pen. Dictation became cartography, a continent of sentences crossing the page. He likely died around 1569, but his route still strides the atlas, over 73,000 miles, farther than Marco Polo. Some scenes blur, others flash knife-sharp. Was every tale exact? Perhaps not. Yet the question he left is perfect. How big is a life you